hey, Timothy, I'm so glad I read this because I realized, I shouldn't say I realized, I was reminded of your, um, what you've been doing for a while now and that you're happy doing it. So, and that's understandable. And of course, you want to have and actually, I commend you. I really do. You've been working as hard at this class as somebody who is hungry to enter for a first job. So, good job. I think a lot of students that already have gigs lined up or are already set in their freelance work or maybe set for a designer or an agency, I mean, that's a fantastic thing. And I think a lot of students kind of don't take their portfolio class the way they should. So to see somebody like you who is already in a position that you're happy with, to really take this class seriously and really give it your just a profound effort as far as I'm concerned. I think it's commendable. So there you go. All right. Glad I read it. So cover letter. Cover letter is really wordy. And I think in a lot of your work, I think you're trying to force the issue. Okay. You're not going to get hired based on what's in your cover letter. Let me describe how this works. You send your package to somebody. Your package is going to have, whether it's digital or whether you send it in the mail, it's going to have your cover letter and your resume. And probably or presumably there's going to be a link to a site in your resume or in that package somewhere. So the progression is going to be like this. If your cover letter is written beautifully and if it gets to the point, straight to the point, like the one in the class, like how we described and talked about that one, few examples that we looked at, regarding the length and the format of a cover letter and what you should actually say. And one of the reasons is because the person reading the cover letter is going to be a very, very busy person. So myself, and I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? If I got a cover letter this long, there's a good chance I might skip right over it. And I'm just being honest. And I know I speak for a lot of hiring professionals when I say that when you take the really long ones and you set them aside and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and look at this later. In the meantime, you find a brief cover letter to get straight to the point. Tell me what you're writing me for, where, reference the job, why you think you're a good pick for the job, a sentence or two. And what a call to action. What are you going to do? What do you want to happen in your cover letter? I always recommend that you end a cover letter saying, I will be in contact with you within X amount of time, a week, no more than a week ever. And, to discuss the possibility of taking this, or proceeding with this hiring process. In the meantime, you did the right thing here saying, take a moment of your valuable time or thank you for looking at my portfolio. Now, but that's not how this would go. It would go from the cover letter to the resume. Okay, so resume is the second part of the test. Cover letter is the first. You pass the cover letter, they're going to look at your resume. You pass the resume, they're going to look at your portfolio. Okay, and that's gospel. So really think about that. The resume itself, I think, is really fragmented. So in a nutshell, just be really brief in your cover letter. Resume is fragmented. It really is. There's just so much going on here. There's no visual relationship between the logo and the contact information. So those are seemingly unrelated. In terms of visual communication, they are seemingly unrelated. So you would have to really draw those together. And I see you have links. This would be a physical cover letter. I'm sorry, resume. You could have links within the body copy. And I guess this is fine. It's fine if you're just intending this for electronic communication. But let's talk about the layout. The layout, of course, is super fragmented. Why? Because you're not using any sort of a given grid. You've got this right here. That's one visual element. Then you have another one right here. Then you have a third right here. So none of them are in alignment. Well, I shouldn't say in alignment. None of them are really in any sort of grid relationship with each other. This one is only this wide. This one's really wide. And this one is, the widest. So you have three different varying widths of your text presentation here, which causes for a really super fragmented journey through the resume. I think it's wise to start at the top and move your way down. Okay, off to the portfolio. Okay, the sample sheet looks good. First thing I said here, awesome job using the grid. And I think that when I said before, you're trying to force a lot of things. I think one of the things you're trying to force the use of some of this stuff into the grid. For example, this tiny little thing right here, you can't see. Now I see what you did is you made this purple background to enforce the fact that that's a grid, but you don't even really have to do that. I mean, we know that what you see is you're giving us a grid. Especially designers are going to feel it, they're going to sense it, they're going to talk about it. Your average person is going to look at this and say, wow, that looks really organized. Your designer is going to say, okay, you got a 4-column grid here, but your center gutter is too wide, and it looks like you're out of alignment in some of your horizontal gutters. All right? Do you see what I'm saying? So don't try to force things in a portfolio because the designer, the person who's looking at it, will get it. This is a perfect example right here. You don't have to, we know what that is. I basically say we don't need help. Do you know what I'm saying? And then again, we have this kind of odd relationship where you're using colors that aren't present in your logo. So we get this another disconnect here. Same thing I was talking about up here, where there's no connection between the mark itself. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mark and the contact information. Okay, so again, and now one of the best things that is happening for me right now is that your kind of light bulb has obviously gone off and you're understanding how to use the grid. Keep working on this because you're not quite there yet, but it's just so much better than the first couple of iterations. And you know what? Go ahead and look back and see what I'm talking about. I think you'll agree. I'm really super happy. I think everything really looks fantastic. Oh, this is another thing that's forced, okay? You don't have to show... I mean, I understand why you want to do this, but you don't have to do this. Just showing sketches is enough to really peak. I mean, you have enough sketches here for 3 pages. I would start extracting these and build a grid out of little pieces that you extract. You know what I'm saying? And instead of, you can pull these from their backgrounds and assemble them. Or at the very least, just put 2 on a page and let's get 2 pages so that the viewer can really see those sketches. This is, I think this is forced. Okay, that's out of alignment right there. If we grab a guide, you can see what I mean. See how that one's out of alignment. It looks like it's a completely different size altogether. Looks good, looks great, looks fantastic. And that's good. That's very, very smart. This is a strong piece. You may consider you got a lot of stuff jumbled in here. You may consider thinking about a different way to present this so that you can maybe get in and key on this a little bit more. Maybe take 2 pages to show your production files as opposed to 1 page. Making this basically a 3-page presentation, which is fine because it's strong work. It's showing a good understanding and a good working knowledge of applying graphics to a 2-dimensional flat object with the intent of folding it into a 3-dimensional package. That's critical. Here's your production file. Very, very good work here. Again, I would stress this. I would emphasize this because this is showing good, solid technical knowledge. Off to your electives. I love your drawings. I really do. I think they're real. Love them. This is good too because you're showing process, which hiring professionals love to see the ideas going on behind the work. Good job on your citations page, credit page. I would put a thank you page. Just thank you. That's it. Thank you for viewing my portfolio, or just thank you. And that is it. So awesome job. Very good. If you have any questions or if I can help you any further, please feel free to let me know. It's been a great class. Thanks, Timothy, and thank you so much for all your hard work.